Hi guys, I missed the live show this weekend as I was traveling, um, but I love to do them. And here's another one. I titled it "Bulls Rise on Concern While Bears Fall on Hope." This is especially true at the start of a bull market and at the start of a bear market, um, but even so in the middle. It's only at the end that you can't really say that bulls rise on concern, because at the end it's like total euphoria. There are no concerns whatsoever. So the in the beginning a bull rise on concern, but the more it goes up, the less people have concerns, and the more people are sure that it will continue to go up. Inversely, in a bear market, it starts to fall on hope, a lot of hope that it will go higher. In the beginning, a lot higher, after a while, higher, and after a while, the hope starts to get killed more and more, and it becomes like actually pessimism, and the bear market will end when there is like a lot of negativity. So it's you in the start and in the middle that you have that, but you can see this clearly, for example, with Tesla, that has gone down up from $180 to $260 quite quickly in 1 month or so, but then dropped in 1 week or so to from 260 to 210, 212. That was a big correction that we just saw the past week, 2 weeks. And I almost got liquidated, or I mean, not fully, but my brokerage almost started selling shares, so it was a close call. Um, but it didn't happen. But it did make me decide to loosen up a little bit, not on Tesla, but on the other one I invested in home. I decided to let go of that because it, of course, adds to my brokerage loan. I bought this also on margin, and it just increases my margin loan, and so it increases the price where I get liquidated Tesla shares. And so, because you can't liquidate something like a home, because it's too small of a market. If you get forcibly liquidated by your broker, they will dump it at any price. So that's not a really great way to sell your shares, especially not shares that are not very liquid. So I have to choose Tesla as shares to be liquidated, but it just raises the price that I'm being liquidated. It was at around $210, and now by selling home, I'm lowering my liquidation price to about, I don't know, it will be so probably something around 100, uh, right below $200. At the same time, I still am planning actually, but that's for the future. I will talk about that when I did that. That's for the future. But I'm very bullish on Tesla right now, as I have been since it went below $200. Um, I am very bullish. This kind of correction is so typical. Like a bull market is not easy to catch. It will shake people out. A bull market, especially at the start, is really full of concerns. That it won't go up, it will continue to go down or sideways, and there are like, this does not look good and that does not look good. And in case of Tesla, it's about, oh, there's gonna be a recession, and that will dump Tesla much deeper. So that's the biggest concern for most stocks. But also, like in the case of Tesla, there are of course many things that you can highlight as a concern. For example, that it's not making profit, that it's making losses, and that's of course highlighted. But yeah, I really think yeah, that Tesla is such a bullish story. It's just crazy. You just look at Yahoo Finance, at the stock, the price of the stock. You can also click on financials, and then you see year by year how much revenues grow, and it's almost doubling every year. That's very rare to see, especially for a car company which has huge investment costs. You can't just increase production easily. It's like miners. It takes a long time to increase production, a lots of preparation, and it's just a real struggle. And of course, you need the demand. Also, it needs all to be bought. You need to like sell these things. Um, there is a lot of customer care also involved here. Unlike mining, where you just mine some commodities and you sell them off, here you sell cars. There's just a lot of headaches that come with this, and so Tesla is really setting an absolute like amazing top performance for a company to do that. It's just crazy. This is something like the entrepreneurs or like athletes, you can study them and look at their performance and see like what are they achieving. And in the case of Elon Musk here with Tesla, I mean, doubling the revenues every year, selling double as many cars every year. That's crazy. Look at the competition. They are actually not even increasing. Maybe like 5% some, and then others lose 5%. Like the car market is actually a sideways market. There's no growth in this market in the West. In the East, it's growing in China, but in the West, not. The amount of cars sold is not going up. The amount of, for example, cars sold by all the German manufacturers is today the same as 10 years ago. And so uh, 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 Tesla is doing this in a sideways market, a market that's not growing anymore. It's doubling every year the amount of cars sold. That's crazy. Of course, if that means that it's like making more losses, then of course that's not a good idea. Selling more and making more, for every item that you sell, you make more losses. That's of course bad, but that's not the case with Tesla. Of course, some bears will say that, but I don't think that's the case. If you look at like earnings per share, profits per share is clearly going up. So you are really like, and I think that's also clear. Like Elon Musk is constantly investing, expanding, optimizing. Yeah, it's just an incredible workhorse and something that also plays like, and that's why I decided to sell home. Is yes, you do need to be in the right cycle. Like it's not because it's a great investment or a great coin at a great value that it's time to invest. No, you want to wait till the sideways like the bear market is over. After the bear market is a sideways movement, you will also want to like sit that out, and you also only want to enter when the upwards movement has started. That's the perfect time, and that means you don't really invest at the bottom. You invest after it's gone up a little, and then like that's the perfect time. I don't have the patience for that. I like to do bottom catching, but for example with home, like with Tesla, you can say okay, there was 5 years a sideways movement here around $200-300. This is probably a shakeout here, and we are going to go up like very likely do it again at 10x compared to like 5 years ago, because in the meantime it really has tenfolded. The company has tenfolded compared to 5 years ago in amount of revenues, for example. So, but with home, that's not the case. Like with home, for example, it has been growing 20% per year. That's of course also a great performance for a brick and mortar retailer, where most actually go down in revenue and go broke. They increased it with 20%. The stock indeed collapsed a lot last year from $40 to $5. Of course, that's very interesting. But the problem here is that, yeah, the bear market's likely not over. Like the market sentiment of investors for brick and mortar retailers is very negative, and it will take it, and that's why valuations are so low. But it also takes some time for the market sentiment to become neutral again, and then become positive and bullish again. And that means likely you have to sit a long time on the share before it goes up. I think I could be totally wrong, and by next year it could have been like already from $5 today to $15, and then I was wrong. That's a 3x in 1 year is very good, and I think it is possible. But it's also possible, I think, with something like this, that yeah, it comes up at 10, then it goes back to 8, and then to 6, and in 1 year, yeah, maybe you're like at 8, and And that's like, yeah, that's a lot of time for me. Like it's I think important to remain focused on your initial thing that you saw. And for me, when it comes to the stock market, I got dragged into it by Tesla, by that amazing opportunity, seeing it go down to below 200, people bitching and whining on Twitter about Tesla. How is it possible that like most investors that invest the past 5 years sitting on losses still today? That's a great opportunity. Investing in a rock star. You can't say about home that the CEO is a rock star like Elon Musk. Of course not. There are only a few like that in the world. So um, I'm letting go of home, but yeah, and I'm gonna remain focused on Tesla. Tesla only for the time being when it comes to the stock market. Hi all, welcome to the live show. Nice to see you all, 24 people. Let's go through the comments. Hey Yannick, hey Marty. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean with Al Hurant. Yannick, I don't know this. What that is. Yes, indeed, Tesla keeps dumping because big oil companies are manipulating it, buying it short. I think that's certainly possible indeed. Like there is an irrational, but it's actually not irrational. But it looks like irrational. Like why would you like borrow 1/3 of the outstanding shares and sell them on the market short? Like that's very risky for a company that's growing so fast. Uh, that's very risky, but it makes sense for big oil and big car because like if you look at the money they're making today, even though the market is stagnating in the West, is still growing in the East of petroleum cars and oil companies and gas stations, and so for them like risking like losing 1 or 2% to shorting Tesla and may possibly like just just slowing down their growth rate, that's worth it for them. And so losing like 10, 20 billion on a short position that goes the wrong way, I think that's like that's what's happening here. But that allows us investors to buy something on the cheap. So it's thanks to them that I'm investing in Tesla today, because without that short position, I don't think Tesla would have gone so low as it has been today. So I don't mind. Um, but on the other hand, what you see a lot in the stock investment world is people are always saying that that's why I don't use margin. People are very, very careful when it comes to margin, and I think overly careful. Yeah, even though like I got very close the past few days and being liquidated, that only means that shares are being sold that I could not have even bought in the first place without margin. Of course, like there is a risk involved. Like you risk losing more, but you also stand to gain a lot more. So I think it's really a good trade-off. Uh, yeah, it's something new for me. I've discussed this in previous videos, but yeah, I think that's also an opportunity in the stock market. Borrowing money, interactive brokers, you can borrow US dollars for 4% per year. That's very cheap. Real inflation is 6%. That's already a profit. But then the question is what you're going to do with that money. But if you can invest it in great opportunities, even opportunities that may take a while before they play out, that's absolutely worth it. Let's see. Smooth operator, hi, nice to see you. So what are you going to do if we go into another recession? Well, of course, in that case, Tesla might indeed go down, but that's not a certainty. Like, careful with that. That's not a certainty. People take that as a certainty and often also say it will likely go down. Yes, likely, but not certainly. There was actually a bull market the past 5 years in stocks. Tesla did not go up; it went sideways. So it did basically the inverse of what the stock market did. That means it can also do the inverse when the stock market go up. Sorry, down. Tesla might go up. Also, when it comes to like consumer demand, typically, actually during recessions and especially great recessions, people finally shift their buying habits, because people are habit creatures. We don't like to change habits, but during a recession, like, money gets tight and people think twice now about how they spend their money, and that's when people change their buying habits, and they will do better calculation, for example, on what car should I buy. And that will be in Tesla's advantage, of course. People that do their calculation end up spending, instead of 25,000 US dollars on a regular gasoline car, which they normally do, end up spending $50,000 on a Tesla car. They are willing to spend double as much on a Tesla car because, well, of the savings that they will make on not spending on gasoline, not spending on all the maintenance over the 5 to 10 years that they will have the car, and especially considering like the safety, like safety is very important when you crash a car. Tesla has the best numbers. Also, like, this kind of like high tech self-driving means that the car actually will, like, when you make a mistake, the car will correct you. You fall asleep, the car will keep you on, avoid making hitting someone, braking by its own. If another one wants to ram you in the ass, he will accelerate by itself. Like, this is all crazy shit you can't find anywhere else. Like, people that study it end up buying a Tesla instead. So a recession actually is in the advantage of a company like Tesla, but of course the stock can still drop a lot. So in my case, it's a gamble, in that yes, it can go down a lot, and yes, I might be liquidated or lose a lot of shares, but I won't be losing them all, because there is a bottom. Like, there is a bottom with a share like Tesla, because there is high demand for it. Like, many companies, like, was it Google or Apple, one of them has made a bid to buy out Tesla for, I don't know how much it was, but it's not so far of current valuation. That's already 5 years ago or so. But the big tech, like Google and Apple and Amazon, they sit on lots of cash, and or like, yeah, they don't have actually they don't have innovative ideas to spend their cash on. So that's the bottom. So even during a recession, and that's not just that. Like for example, in Arabia, there's this Saudi Arabian investment fund also is buying Tesla. I wanted to buy it fully at $420 a share. 1 to 3, was it 1 year ago or 2 years ago? And has been buying about 5% of Tesla, I think. Yes. And so there are a lot of big, like, players with lots of cash, very happy to buy Tesla. So that's the bottom. So people think this can go below $100. I wish you good luck with that. That's not likely at all. Right. So I might, of course, lose. My plan is, yes, if it goes down, I will lose shares, but I will buy them back as it goes back up, and that's sooner or later likely to happen. My only risk with this kind of leverage is that it goes sideways, and then you have to on down. It goes down, you lose a lot more, and then it goes back up. You buy back shares, but you are unable to buy all the shares back that you could buy before. So you always make some losses with every up and down move like that, and that can also lead to a big loss. But I think it's not likely to happen that we will get another sideways movement for Tesla after we just had one for 5 years. We get another one for a couple of years. I don't think that's likely. Hi all, welcome to the live show. Yeah, gold has gone up, and now everybody's like, oh, gold. But you have to look at the fundamentals. a bear market is only over for commodities like gold when you can see that the supply demand equation has changed. Uh, um, it means that when you see that production of gold is actually going down year over year, this is the end of the bear market. Because that means that finally gold prices are so cheap that producers are stopping or miners are stopping to mine it. And that's, if you look at the history, that's been the end of the previous bear markets. It's true for other commodities too, like uranium. Because then suddenly the supply goes down very quickly while the demand always continues to go up for gold, uranium. But that's the point where actually suddenly like supply starts to drop a lot, uh, while while demand has continued to go up for decades, and suddenly demand becomes higher as supply the years after, and suddenly that's the bottom, and that's when prices start to pick up and pick up for real and continue to pick up because to increase production again of gold mining takes like 5 to 10 years before it's really catching up with demand again, and it's really exceeding demand again. So we are certainly not there. Look at the production numbers and demand numbers of gold. No, just production is enough. Look at when it went down. It went only down in at the end of the and at the end of the 70s, 80s. Sorry, no. At the end of the 90s, finally gold production went down, and that was also the bottom. Um, um, since then, gold has gone up because price has gone up, and gold production is still going up today. So prices are still high enough for producers to be motivated to mine it. So this is certainly not. If you look at those things, like the odds are very very low that the bear market of gold is finished. Same for uranium and many other commodities. So this is very likely just a rebound, and that may go a lot higher. Be careful with that. Not with gold, I think, but with uranium, for example. It went to $100 or so, $120. It dropped to $20. Maybe it's now it went to $30. It can go to $40, $50. That's just a rebound. And then it can find a new low of $10 or $5. I think that's most likely here. So yeah, I mean, be careful. Hi all. Let's see. Let's see. Who's here with me? It's my little boy, Michael. Hey, Michael. Hoe gaat ie? Hoe gaat ie? Very young baby, 6 weeks. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'm acting like a trader. Like I really am looking for long-term investments to ride them and to do a 10x. But yes, I changed my mind which positions to take. But yeah, I think that's something else. Like I don't buy positions to make a short-term profit. But yeah, indeed. Should I invest in gold mining stocks? I really don't think you should invest in gold mining stocks for the reasons I mentioned. They are not depressed at all. They're still making money. They should be losing money, and then you should buy them. Well, jongen, I think he wants some milk. Let me give him some milk. Wel, jongen. Ga je een beetje drinken, hè? Hoi, hoi. Is that lekker? Let me look at the questions. Carl Robert says, I just got 10k. I've got 1 BTC already. Where does the rest get put? Well, I would suggest to change that 1 BTC for example, how many? 30 BCH? That seems like a good deal. Like Bitcoin, BTC is not a great deal. You pay $10,000 for a coin, and you can't send it without paying. You can't pay any 1 cent, any money, because without at least paying $1. But usually it's like more, two, three, $4 if you have several inputs, outputs. So the amount of merchants accepting Bitcoin core, let's call it Bitcoin core, is going maybe sideways, but actually it's going down. Like, yeah, technically you could say it's going up, but if you look at the amount of real transactions, merchant transactions, Bitcoin core going down. So that's really not a good investment. I would suggest to change that. For Ethereum, you can change it also. Um, and the other money I would keep on the sideline for a correction. In crypto, if you're interested to invest just in crypto, I would just leave at least half on the sideline to buy later. But I think like something like Bitcoin Cash at $300 now, Ethereum $200, these are already good value investments. But since the trend, I think, is still down, we're still in a bear market, I believe. It's just gonna take a while before you're gonna see profits there, and it's most likely you will see some huge losses first. And I could be totally wrong. That's why I really suggest to already take a position, because indeed it could be that those coins pump a lot over the next few months. That's possible, even though we are in a bear market, and that these kind of valuations will not be seen again, even though Bitcoin may go much lower. Bitcoin core. Thanks for the question, Carlo Roberts. Wheat, no wheat today, huh? Like, I agree, wheat is not a good thing. Like alcohol, like, yes, it has helped me a lot, wheat, actually, just to feel happy and good. But it also takes its price. It's a short-term benefit and a long-term cost. It's not healthy to smoke, so I live shorter. And also, like, it really, like, it makes you more stupid, being high. It's like, yeah, I like it because you don't, like, I don't think about something. Like, I'm always thinking about stuff, so I really like the feeling of just being like high and not thinking about stuff, or just being happy without concerns. But and being drunk sometimes I enjoy also. But but I mean, these are not like great habits. I wish, like, I think it would be great if I can achieve a life where I don't need this stuff anymore. I don't use this stuff anymore, and I've done so from time to time for several years, but I seem to fall back. Um, Yes, Sky Larker, good question. How are the kids? Very, very good. I just saw also Joy, my other daughter, and she's so beautiful. And she also crawls now on the ground. She couldn't crawl before I went to Europe, but now I'm back, she can. And it's so beautiful. I think it's really beautiful. I think having babies does, with me, seem to cause a lot of stress with the ladies. The ladies become much more difficult, the mommies, and that causes me stress. But when you get through that, yeah, of course, also you start to live together, and yeah, I'm a very demanding man. I want things to be done well. I want my girl to cook and to clean, and to take care of the baby well. So I'm a demanding man, but and difficult sometimes, and that makes it difficult for them too. But I think that's the right attitude, and I've seen that yeah, it does create great results, but it also, yeah, it's also a struggle sometimes. I think it's the same building a family or building a company. It's very similar, huh? But what you're saying here, I don't know if you're aware, but in 2018 you had a crypto bottom prediction date, and we passed it now. So maybe it's not time yet. It sure tells us how far we have come, right? Yeah, he's right. Like I always predicted that the crypto bottom to be at the middle of 2019, and we're there. And where is that bottom? It seems to have passed half a year ago. So I think the jury is still out. Like the middle of the year, I've always said that doesn't mean August. It means it can be a couple months before, a couple months after, but indeed it should be around that period. And well, it's closing like it's only a couple more months, and then you can say like I was wrong. Huh? And we will have to see what prices do indeed, because I could certainly be wrong. Um, that's why I really suggest to be invested. And it was why I'm hesitant also to sell any more crypto. I am now 30-40% in crypto, and I think that's important to be, because we could indeed have seen the bottom. It can go up a lot from here. So yeah, I do think it's justified to give it a few more months, especially since what just happened there. Like it went up a lot, and many see that as a sign of the bull has started. But actually, has there ever a bull started like that, where it goes like times four in a couple of months? No, eh? So actually, it's a big red flag here that there is still a lot of hope in the market, and that's not typical for the start of a bull market. There should be a lot of concerns, and it should go up slowly, steadily, with a lot of corrections in the meantime. That we have not seen that. We see that with Tesla, for example. We don't see that with crypto. It just went up in one straight line, from the low of Bitcoin $3,000 to a high of $14,000 almost in 6 months. Um, that was like a very like overly bullish. You could say very bullish, but no, overly bullish, because that's very unlikely at the start of a real bull market that you get it to you see it take off like that. So I think we do have a big red flag here. Extra, because we also had a lot of red flags before this before this, call it a rebound or a bull market, let's say call it a rally, before this strong rally. We also had a lot of red flags already that likely the bottom was not in. If you've seen my videos and the one I still have pinned on Twitter, there are a lot of red flags already before this rally that the low was not in because of a lack of volume, a lack of time. It wasn't like the timing wasn't right. Indeed, crypto had corrected a lot in fiat values. That's true. Like that's one of the things that you can say, but Mark, or to bears, like, come on, it corrected Bitcoin to $3,000. That was 80% correction or so. Ethereum $100, Bitcoin Cash $100, or $80. Like these were huge corrections already. Like, come on, the bottom is in, right? And I was also thinking that when we were hitting those prices, or actually before that already, I was like, okay, my targets have been hit here. Like I started buying at $4,500. I thought like, yeah, the correction is as strong now in fiat terms as the previous one. So fuck timing. I'm happy with these prices. Let's buy strong. And Bitcoin Cash was then at $200. Was it 200? Yeah. That's when I bought a lot. 250. But I went from a 20% exposure to 80% exposure crypto there, because I was convinced, okay, these prices, probably the bottom of the bear market here. But then when I studied it more, because for example, Kevin Svensson thought it would go lower because there was not enough volume. But when I studied it more, as I had to agree, like, yes, indeed, there is not enough volume at the bottom. But there were many other like signals that I wasn't convinced that the bottom was in. It's true that many were bearish. The majority was bearish. That was also an indicator. But I remember I actually did a poll on Twitter there that day or that week when we were at that bottom, because I could feel the market was overly bearish and likely we would go at least have a rebound there. But and I was asking like, will we go up or down? And my Twitter followers said 70% said down. And that actually convinced me that this is not the bottom, because when you're at the bottom, 90% will say that we will go down. That's just another point. But Yeah, we'll have to see what the market does. I do think it's still very, very wise to keep money on the sideline. Um, but I've updated my sheet. You can find my sheet on Google Sheets for my buy-in targets of crypto, or you can find the link below the other videos I made. For example, the last one was buy-in target for crypto. You find the link there. I changed my buy-in targets and I put them um, higher. Um, why? Actually, I did that. I'm not sure when I did that, but I did. I think it's recently, only 1 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago. Kevin Svensson, for example, he thinks that a correction to the golden cross, he calls it or something, is likely, and that's around 7,500 US dollars for Bitcoin. I think that will put Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum around $200. Ethereum a little lower than $150. I set my first buy-in target there. Uh, one big red flag I forgot to mention, of course, is the Trollo chart, like the undervaluation. They only go to 50%, and yeah, usually goes up. Has been going up over time in the past. Um, so if I mean that's also a big red was yeah. I mean yeah, it's just I think it's very likely we'll see an undervaluation as in previous bear markets. We always saw higher undervaluation over time, even when the bull market was started. So I think that's likely to happen again, and so that's my second buy-in target. My first one is around 7,500 US dollars for Bitcoin, but actually I won't be buying Bitcoin. Of course, I will be buying Bitcoin Cash, but that's around $200 or so for Bitcoin Cash. I will go to a majority crypto, but only 51%, because I think it's very likely we go lower. Unlike, for example, Kevin Svensson, uh, I really think it's very likely we will go to a 55% undervaluation compared to the Trollo trend line. That's now 300 billion. So if that would happen over the next few months, that means we go to 150 billion, 140 billion market cap for all coins together, and that means we will go to like below 5,000 for Bitcoin, and below 150 for Bitcoin Cash, like around $100 for Bitcoin Cash. And I think that's still likely to happen. So I think that's where I want to like, yes, I will go to a majority before that because that's important. I actually made a mistake in the past. I should have gone to a majority already, but I sold it off again. That was a mistake. So that's why I raised my target to go to majority crypto. But at the same time, I certainly don't want to overdo it because I think it's very likely it will go lower. So that's why I only go to 51% exposure there, and then later I will go to 65 or 70% when it's almost cut in half again, which I think is likely. Huh? So that's my plan for crypto. And if I'm wrong, and it goes up from here, I won't be buying any crypto, and I will just keep what I have. Huh? That's also possible, but just not so likely, I think. Hi, all. Welcome to the live show. So thanks, Kai, for pointing that out. We certainly have come far, yes, with crypto. But I really think crypto is in a serious crisis. Uh, a really big crisis. I really think that what happens with Bitcoin BTC will also explain the prices that we will see in the future. Huh? Like I think there is still a 40% chance that we make a new low. Right? 40% chance we make a new low. So I lowered that. I thought there was 60%, but I lowered it to only 40% chance that we will go below 3,050. That means we're going to be cut in half again because you don't, when you make a new low, it's a lot lower. So that means we go below 2,000. We bottom at around 1,800. I think that's still 40% chance to happen. And so many other coins like make new lows also. And I think even like coins, great coins like Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum make a double bottom, but may also like make a new low. But I think more likely a double bottom, so we'll go back to $80. but may also certainly also make a new low. Like this is a 50-50, and if it makes a new low, these coins, they will go also goodbye too. That means like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, $40. I think actually there's still a 40% chance here for that to happen, as certainly for like 40% for Bitcoin BTC and maybe like 25% chance for Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. But that's still like, if you have to play those odds, it's worth taking. Eh? If the payoff is so high, you have 40% chance to have a huge payoff. That's worth reserving some money for. Huh? Because if we reach those prices, 1,800 for Bitcoin BTC, like everybody will be talking about it's gonna go below 1,000. They're like, that's for sure. But also, like, the fundamentals will be exposed. Like, it will be justified to be worth only $1,800 because it's not growing as before. There's a huge problem with Bitcoin BTC. The transaction fees have gone up a lot, and due to that, the amount of transactions has not grown at all, way too little, and so it's actually failing. You can make a case that it's really failing. Like the amount of merchants, amount of real merchant transactions actually going down. Like that's a failing project. So these that will be the what's being told in the media. Huh? And if you like think about it, you're gonna have to agree. Huh? And the leader can really pull up the market, but it also can pull down the market. So yeah, I think a lot of damage has been done to crypto by Bitcoin Core, but it's not shown in the prices yet. Huh? Like, I predict my prices on past growth rates. When you use a Trololo chart, it's based on past growth rates. Yeah, but actually, even that could be a wrong assumption, huh? Because past growth rate is not assured if fundamentals change drastically of the market leader. Huh? So yeah, I think even if you look at the Trollo chart, it could be overly optimistic, and the Trollo chart is really like giving a very high probability that we go to not minus 55% undervaluation, but that we go to that we make a new high in undervaluation, just like in all previous bear markets. A new high in undervaluation means the last one was 70% undervaluation. That means now we go to 85% undervaluation, something like that, compared to the trend line. Right now we're at 300 million, a billion, minus 80%. How much is that? That's 50 billion. Huh? That will be the low. That's what actually the Trollo should suggest, and that's based on past growth rates. Huh? That's based on the idea that crypto will continue to grow at the same rate as it did in the past. So, I mean, yeah, that's why I still give this 40% chance, and I've lowered it from 60, but it's still 40. That's not 10%. Huh? If it's like only 10% chance to make money, yeah, forget it. Huh? To make a lot of money and you only have 10% chance, that's really like a low chance. But if you have 40% chance to make a lot of money, that's worth like taking. But you cannot take it if you have everything in crypto. You can only take it if you have other investments that are not crypto related or fiat. So yeah. Hi Ryan Giffen. Did you hear Ryan says that Waymo has a higher valuation than Tesla? And Waymo, for the people that know, is the self-driving unit from Google. Google has these self-driving cars, and they set up a company around it. Oy, sorry. And the valuation of that company is higher than Tesla, higher than 40 billion. Huh? And that's true. And that's just crazy, because you can make a strong case that Tesla is winning the race to self-driving cars by far. So, I mean, and the valuation of like Waymo is just based on the idea that there will be like offering self-driving taxis, taxi robots, and that they will make lots of money with that. And based on that idea alone, Waymo is more valued more than Tesla. But Tesla's business is not just self-driving cars. In the first place, it's selling electrical cars, which on its own is already worth the valuation of it today. It's not even including a potential valuation of self-driving cars and selling, being able to be the first to market to sell self-driving robo cars, or offering a Uber network of self-driving taxis. Huh? This will be the one that's first to market there, will be able to make huge profits because the value of such a car goes up a lot. If it can drive itself, it's worth a lot more money. But of course, only the one that can offer it can ask these huge profit margin, and of course after time competition will drive down prices again, and profit margins will evaporate again. And so it really comes down to who's going to be the first one to market to do that, and Tesla makes a very good chance to do that. And that's indeed just another catalyst that may really tenfold the value of the stock without it being overvalued. Hey, that's why, Michael. Just one moment, I just have to pack in my little baby here. In the meantime, shoot me some good questions, and thank you all for being here and asking those questions. I really enjoy the live shows. It really helps me in talking my mind and sharing the ideas I have and learning from you guys too. Make me think better, challenging me. Dat is beter, hè? Oké. Wil je nog drinken? Ja, wil je nog drinken? Okay. Let me look at the questions. Skylarker says, sorry, but gold production does not dictate gold price. Well, you know, like this is really like what made me a success in investing is really valuing past like historical charts. That's very important. Huh? How can you make the right decisions if you haven't studied the past? Like it's true, the end of a bear market in commodities in the 70s, for example, in the 60s and the 90s, we have two bear markets of commodities that we can clearly study. They ended in the 60s and the 90s, and both of these periods see production go down for commodities. I'm not 100% sure, is it for gold also, or is for coffee, or for like, there are always exceptions, of course, but in general, that's been the trend. And so you want to wait for that signal before calling the end of the bear market, because that's what happened in the past, and therefore it's most likely to happen in the future. And it makes a lot of logical sense too. It's always at the end of a bear market people give up producing it, creating it. It's also in crypto. The end of a bear market, you will see many coins die. Did we see that already? I don't think so, but you can see that we're getting closer. Like you can see that many coins have gone down a lot in value, mainly smaller coins, and or at the risk of dying. You can start to see that now, but they have not died yet. Like they are still investors, they are still coders working on it. Like it has not been abandoned yet, but that's likely going to happen for many smaller coins, and even bigger coins will end up like that. It's actually already the case for Litecoin, for example. Nobody is producing any code for that project, for example. Yeah. Ryan Giffen asks if do you believe Catherine Woods, her prediction that Tesla go to $4,000? Yes, I certainly do, and I love her work. Catherine Woods, a very smart lady, and admirable, a lot of experience in the investment world, and created their own hedge funds. Sorry, ETFs, not hedge funds. Very smart of her, investing in public companies, and leaving that whole hedge fund world and also startup world aside, because that's a lot of bullshit going on there, especially the startup world. That these valuations are just ridiculous. Like for example, Waymo from Google. Like, why is it valued so high? Because they play these little games of like they are private investments. You can't invest on them on the public markets, and so valuations are based on the last race. And so the last race is, well, only allowed if you pay more than the previous one. So they play these games, and then they hope that in the end they can go to the public market and sell it for that valuation. But what you see more and more is that when they go to the public market, the thing crashes, because the value before it went public is already too high. So she all sees these things, and her prediction for Tesla goes to 5,000 is, yeah, you can study the sheets that they make. They share all their research, and makes a lot of sense. Yes, that's the potential. And but what she says is like a 5-year potential. But I think the one thing she's missing is that the stock market doesn't move like that. It moves in shocks. Uh, if you see a Tesla, it did a 10x 1 year, but other than that, it always went sideways. It launched at $10-20, went sideways for 3-4 years, then it does a 10x, 20x in 1 to 2 years, and it goes sideways again for 5 years. So yes, the potential of Tesla is 4,000, and she says that's a 5 to 10 year target. And she correctly says that most investors don't have such a long time horizon. That's also true. But I think what's likely is that we will see that price much sooner than 5 years. I think it can happen over the next year. I think actually that's more likely than it will take 5 years. But of course, at that point, it's still overvalued. That's the time to get out, because it will take another 5 years to see the price go up again, and at first it will correct a lot also again. Hi, Cryptomedius, nice to see you. I'm surprised to see your question. What's your opinion on Bucked? I saw this question from Burma Bulls for half a year now, and I always thought it was funny because like that's not gonna say like an event cannot save a bear market or a bull market. Like that's not how it works. Huh? It's about yeah, cycles that and market sentiment. It takes a long time for the minds to change from bullish to bearish, and then from bearish to bullish, and it's not like fundamentals do not guide these psychological cycles. When there's a bear market in stocks, that's not because the yeah, the fundamentals, it is related somewhat, but yeah, no, Bucked. I even forgot what it was. What is that again? But no, I don't think these things can impact the bull bear cycle. I think Bucked was something like for that many investors can invest in crypto, huh? But you know or institutional investor can invest in crypto, but people think that institutional investors are somehow more sophisticated than the average investor, but that's not the case. Huh? An institutional investor is as bad as an average investor, which means that they buy during bull markets, not at the first half, but in the second half after it already went up a lot. They start buying, and then they don't sell in bear markets unless the bear market is over halfway and we're already down a lot. Then they start selling. Like that's the average investor. Average investor makes the losses in the market. The average investor has less returns than the 6% inflation. That's true for institutions also. So if you like create investment instruments for institutional investors, they will only start using that when there's clearly a bull market. When prices have gone up a lot, when the previous all-time highs are broken, and market sentiment is again very positive, then they will enter and then they will use these new instruments. Huh? A crypto boy says, imagine still listening to this guy who is being saying since 3K that the bottom was not in, instead of already being a millionaire longing Bitcoin all the way up. Place your bets, guys. Don't listen to this guy. Well, I think that's a misrepresentation of my work, because when we were at 3K, I said people invest, and I said invest with a majority of your capital. It's only later that I changed my mind, and after it went up again, and I said now we should go to a big minority. I've always recommended to go to a big minority in crypto, minimum, around the bottom. Huh? And that means not 10%, but 30, 40%. That was my recommendation. I actually did double of that myself. I later changed my mind. Okay, let's stick to the majority, like minority, like 40% exposure I recommended. If you would have done that, you would have been up a lot today. Huh? So, I mean, you made money if you followed my recommendations. Even though I said I don't think the bottom was in, I always recommend to do at least that. Huh? And actually, I don't know any other. Um, uh, Actually, yeah, there were some people bullish, but people never share like how much percent should you invest. Like some say, oh, it will go up, and there were some people at the bottom that indeed called it the bottom, that we call the bottom now, that called it indeed, that were bullish, recommended to invest, but very few. And those that were recommending certainly didn't share like with how much percent of your portfolio. But it all comes down to that, of course. I mean, yeah, that's the most important thing, and I think actually my advice was one of the best, even though I thought the bottom was not in. Like it's about allocation. How much do you allocate, and if you did that, you made a lot of money. Um, let's see at the other questions. Hi, Pounds. Nice to see you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna ban this guy here. 12024. Telling me I need to jump off a building or something. Not cool. Not cool. Wait. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm through the questions, guys, and it's 58 minutes, so we're gonna end the show here. Thanks so much for joining. Not the perma bull yet, crypto mages. Yes, but yeah, you went to 50% exposure crypto, right? And you also still have a Tesla exposure? No, I think you sold that. So let's see how it goes. But I think you're not gonna be happy with your allocation decisions. But yeah, you jump in, jump out very quickly, huh? So when it goes down, you probably be jumping out. Um, and then in that case you will be good, but yeah, I just think, yeah, this is not my style of investing. Like, I don't like that. Yeah, but from your position it looks like you are bullish now, crypto medius. You think that crypto has a higher chance to go up or not? That's very interesting, because Crypto Medius is a very good analyst and has made very good charts on why the bottom is likely not in, and showed it with volume. So what changed your mind, Crypto Medius? Tell us. See if there anything else I can talk about. Yeah, Carl Roberts says that, like, and this is the bullish scenario for Tesla. If they are first with the self-driving vehicle, people will be able to rent out their car, and it will self-drive and be a taxi, and then come home again, and and that way Tesla owners earn money with their car. It's a possibility. It's a little bit like Airbnb, where people rent out a piece of their home and make money with that. And it could start like that. It's true. It could start like that. But I think over time, you always see a professionalization. Like Airbnb today, you probably can still find such offerings where you can like live with people in the home, but most offerings are more professionalized, where people actually have invested in real estate and actually with the sole intention to rent it out on Airbnb. So I think with self-driving cars we will see the same. Like, yeah, in the beginning might be indeed an interesting way to see it take off and start, but over time people will then just buy the cars as an investment to self-drive all the time. But that's the point where a car manufacturer that has this offering and is the only one that has this offering is able to ask a lot of money, because production is limited, huh? Will take some time to increase production, and even then, like, it's yeah, it's a huge change, and you see this change already today more and more in the regions where Uber is affordable and available, because some countries in the West don't even have Uber, like Germany and Belgium, they have forbidden Uber. So it's still like taxis are still very expensive. Huh? But in the countries where you have actual real competition with these Uber networks, like Kenya, here you have like Uber, and then you have also Bolt, used to be Taxify. You have another new one. They are competing strongly, and so like it's amazing. It works very well. You don't need a car anymore, and you see that with young people. Yeah, of course, when you have something like Uber, yeah, you need less and less a car. The mentalities are changing. People used to like a car was the thing to own a car. Now that's changing. So I think that once like self-driving cars are launched and are available, the price of an Uber ride will go down a lot, huh? Because now the biggest expense probably for Uber are paying the drivers. That will go away, and so instead of like, it will become like half the price of what it is today to catch an Uber. But maybe it will be catching a Tesla, huh? Then. Like we will have new competition coming in with self-driving cars. Huh? Uber may actually lose the market due to that. Huh? But yeah, that's going to be very interesting and very important, because self-driving cars is not only a lot cheaper to use that, but it's also a lot safer. Huh? And it's a lot more practical. Huh? Um, uh, like it will change air travel, like, because air travel, like, for a trip that you need to drive, for example, 5 hours, which is the case in America, for example, from one state to the other state, the next state, huh? Do you have to take a plane or a car? Many people, 5, 6, 7 hours, choose the plane, because the car is just too long of a drive. But when you have self-driving cars, that's a different story, because you don't have to drive. You can do your own thing. And the problem with all these airports is all that security bullshit. Before you get into the plane, first you need a ride to the airport, check in luggage, to go to security. You waste hours before the plane goes up, and even when you're down, it can take time before you're at your destination. So it changes air travel. Like, many more people will use the car when you have self-driving cars for distance that they now use air travel. So, and the safety, yeah, like, that's the problem with cars. Like, actually flying is much safer than driving, but when you have self-driving cars, that's going to change a lot. It's going to become a lot safer, because most accidents are caused by human idiots. Let's see if Cryptomedius responded because I'm really curious, but he hasn't. So that will be for next time. Oh, my little boy, I'm gonna have to give him. All right. So yeah, as a final note, yeah, if you want to help crypto, there are ways to use crypto that are beneficial to yourself. And I think the biggest example is Purse.io, where you can actually buy on Amazon um, up to 30% discount. It really works well. I use it a lot. In Europe, you need to use Amazon.co.uk, the English one, because you don't have import taxes. Then it's part of the eurozone tax wise. Huh? So you, instead of ordering of Amazon.co, you just create a wish list and you put it on Purse.io, and it will be filled in, and you get your packages delivered to all of Europe, and it's 20% cheaper, um, and you really help crypto being used. You can use BTC, also Bitcoin Core, but of course that makes little sense if you pay so much for transactions. But you can use Bitcoin Cash there too, and that works very well. So I can really recommend that you do a good thing for the world, but you also do a good thing for yourself because you actually are able to, yeah, order on a shop like Amazon that is already very cheap. On top of that, you get like 20% discount. That's really worth it. So yeah, check that out, guys. And yeah, you can also use Bitcoin Cash actually on cheap air to book flights, and you also have a VPN provider that offers Bitcoin Cash. You can find that on my Twitter. I just tweeted their names. And if you haven't yet, check out Bitcoin.com YouTube channel. It's very good. Like Roger Ver every week does a show there where he shares the new things in crypto and in Bitcoin Cash. And yeah, I think it's very positive vibe, and they're really working on building a better world. I think it's worth following. Cryptomedius responded. So yes. So what he says is that from the recent top, they both corrected 50%. Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash he has bought for 50% of his portfolio. And yeah, the recent top for Bitcoin Cash was $500. Was it? I think so. Yeah. And indeed, it corrected 50% to $250 or so. And Ethereum, same story. So he says that I think even for the long term, they are very good investments, and I agree with that. So I think it's interesting, and actually a good move for crypto medias. Yes, I'm also invested 40% in crypto, so makes a lot of sense. I'm happy you have a position, and yeah, even if the bear market continues and make new lows, these buys currently Ethereum 200, Bitcoin Cash $300 are good value investments. I can't deny that for the long term. Yeah, the self-driving is seriously underestimated. Just watch on YouTube, people like allowing their own Tesla car to self-drive. It's unbelievable. It's like magic. It really works already very good. Okay, there are also disappointments. It's not perfect, certainly not, but it works already very good. It's already very impressive. If you're not in, if you're not aware of that, then you're like, wow, that's amazing. Huh? Thanks all for joining, and I wish you all a great week.